All right, let's do this.
Let's go. Here we go now.
Hey everyone, Ryan Young here. I wanted to cover a topic today that nobody's really asked me about, but it'll help you. I've been doing jiu-jitsu since 1989, and the thing about jiu-jitsu, especially when you're doing it as a college age kid, is that you get real aggressive. I mean, you're always going 100%. And even though I started off doing heavy warm-ups, which is what we did over at Ehrling Gracie School, we did heavy warm-ups and we were spent. Well, you know, they tried to get us spent by the time we started training, so that when we do our techniques, then we're not using 100% strength anymore because we've depleted it some with our warm-up. And you know, this continued on with RICKSON School. It continues on to today. But what happens is when you're young and you're eager and you're just going with power, as much power as you can muster, when you're revving the motor that high and that hard, you're gonna break something here and there. So I've had a lot of little injuries. I've had both elbows popped several times. I've had both knees popped several times, to the point where I had 2 knee surgeries, replaced my lateral meniscus, or actually not replaced, they fixed it, and they replaced my ACL on my right leg, and now that's my good leg, believe it or not. My left leg is not my bad one. But you know, I have nagging shoulder injuries. I've had this tooth right here poke through my lip, you know, and I was bleeding like crazy, and I was just swallowing blood while I was training. I didn't even bother stopping for that. I've had my eyeball blood vessel popped in, and the whole one side of my eye was completely blood red from getting choked and not wanting to tap out, and passed out numerous times. One of the ones that used to get me early on was getting stacked, doing the old basic guard pass, and what we call the Ehrling guard pass, or we call it guard pass number 1. And if you do it right, you're stacking your opponent, and I would get stacked a lot. But you know, being 21 years old at the time, there was a lot of flexibility that I had, and I could, you know, put my knees on the other side of my head, kind of like a lot of guys when they do their guard game now, very flexible, kind of Gumby-like, and I was pretty close to that. So as a result, I wouldn't really worry when somebody would stack me. Well, I'd end up tearing the little muscles in the back, in your upper back, kind of right along both sides of your spine, and I'd have to go into the doctor and get the muscle relaxants and the anti-inflammatories, all that kind of stuff. You know, they put me on all kind of drugs. You know, that was what it was back then. I just, you know, anything to mask the pain I would do. And I guess fast forward about 10 years, 1999 or so, I'd always have lower back pain, just like crazy back pain. It would never go away. And I would never be able to stand more than a few minutes before having to sit down just to kind of stretch my back out because my back was hurting so much. And finally, I just decided, you know what? Everybody talks about these chiropractors. Let me try and, you know, check one out. And I was actually kind of afraid because, you know, obviously they're manipulating your spine. And I had all the same misgivings that a lot of people have, but I thought, you know what, I'm in so much pain and I don't want to take anything, right? If I take something for it, then now I'd hear about people being addicted to painkillers, and that's something that I never wanted to do. And even to this day, I don't take anything. I'm not on any kind of painkillers. I'm not on any kind of cholesterol meds or high blood pressure meds, nothing like that. So the only thing, I guess I'm on caffeine. Drink a lot of coffee. So I thought, you know, let me try this, and I did, and I went to about 3 or 4 different chiropractors, and I would get relief for a moment, maybe a day or 2, and the pain would start back. So I'd have to go back again. What I finally found was a young chiropractor. I say young because he was much younger than me. He had just gotten out of chiropractic school, and he was renting a closet in a little neighborhood gym that I worked in, and it was the size of a closet. It was barely big enough for his table and for him to stand on both sides, so he could kind of walk around the table while he's adjusting. And he was giving free adjustments for, I guess, 2 weeks, you know, as a way to gain a new client. So I said, yeah, fine, and I went with him. And I figured, you know, what could it hurt? Because I was going to all these other chiropractors and I was paying them money, and they weren't really giving me the kind of relief I was looking for. I just decided, let's just go with this guy. And what he told me was this. He says, your spine, you have all your vertebrae. And what happens is that your vertebrae get kind of twisted out of alignment from time to time. You know, let's say they're supposed to be perfectly aligned, right where my my fingers are right here. But what happens over time is they kind of do this. And a lot of the reasons why they do that is maybe you have some kind of sudden activity and it puts you out of alignment, or the way he explained it to me was that your muscles, what happens is they kind of tighten up on one side, and when one side tightens up, the other side has to elongate, and when it does that, it pulls the vertebrae a little bit out, and that's where you feel the pain. And then what happens is that eventually this shortened muscle stretches this one so much, this muscle gets pissed off and it spasms. And I had a really bad back spasm after getting an adjustment once, and the doctor, the chiropractor, told me it was just because the body was fighting me. But all he would do is he just cracked my back and that was it. Well, this particular chiropractor said what we need to do is we need to loosen this muscle up. And he said a lot of times the muscle's all bound up because of scar tissue that kind of micro tears, and you have a little bit of scar tissue that forms. So what he would do is he just basically put his elbow or put a knuckle or put something into that muscle, and he would work the movement that was associated with that muscle. Sometimes it was moving my arm like this, sometimes moving my leg. It never was the same. And it really felt horrible. So imagine somebody sticking a thumb in your armpit or a thumb in your belly button. That's what it feels like when he's going through that pressure. Anyway, so he does it, and I just figured, you know what, 2 weeks, let's just try it. It was different, so I figured let's just see how it works. And lo and behold, seeing him 3 times a week over 2 weeks, so that's 6 adjustments, I was cured. And I'm like, holy crap, this stuff works. So then at that point he says, let's just do once every 2 weeks, and then it got to be once every month. And after getting treated with him by him for about a year or so, life got in the way. I got busy, and I didn't go and see him for about 6 months because I moved to Orange County, which was really far from Rancho Cucamonga where he was. It's like 50 miles to get to his office. So I wasn't always able to make it out there because I didn't work there anymore. So there was one period of time where I didn't go for 6 months, and I felt no pain. And then one time I started to feel the pain and started to ache again. I'm going, man, I'm kind of hurt. And then I realized, I looked at my calendar, I hadn't seen him in 6 months. So then I then made it a practice to see him at least monthly, if not less than that. But when I moved to Texas, I had to find myself another chiropractor. And having been through so many other chiropractors, and by the way, that the one that was really good in Rancho Cucamonga, California, his name is Jeremiah Cherratt, Cherratt. So if you're in the area, go and find him. But chances are you won't get into him because he's got a waiting list that's super long, because he handles a lot of the CrossFit people, and we know CrossFit basically injures you, throws you in the ER too with rhabdo, right? But so yeah, he kind of went into that sports fitness market, and he's thrived to the point where it's hard to get in. In fact, the number of combat jiu-jitsu guys started going to him as well. Whether they're still going there, I don't know. So anyway, fast forward, I'm in here in Texas, and I found James Brown, who runs his office out of Core Chiropractic in Flower Mound, and he is a 3rd or 4th degree black belt. So I thought, perfect. You know what kind of injuries that I go through, and in fact, every time I go there, I see another practitioner, I see an MMA fighter, a local MMA fighter, I see a school owner, and it's because I guess we've all kind of gone to him. We've kind of figured out that he knows how to fix us. Basically, when you're training jiu-jitsu or you do anything that's really hard on your body like jiu-jitsu, your body's getting pushed and pulled and put out of place a lot. And you need to go in regularly, so I'm on the mat every single day. So it makes sense for me to go in once a week or once every 2 weeks to see him. Now, I've had a number of students who are on the verge of quitting jiu-jitsu and would come and talk to me because I haven't seen them in a couple or a few months. I'm like, what's going on? Where you been? Oh man, my neck's been killing me so bad. I don't know what to do. I'm on the verge of quitting. Well, you need to go see my chiropractor. No, I don't do that kind of stuff. And or they'll say, I got my own chiropractor. And finally, after a little while more, I go, okay, so if they don't want to go to chiropractor, okay, is what you're doing helping? No. Are you still in pain? Yes. At least give this guy a shot. It doesn't matter what the excuses are. Everybody except for one person out of maybe 20, I send everybody from our school over there to get fixed up. Because, it sucks being in pain. I don't like being in pain. The minute I have a little bit of pain, I go in. So it worked for me, and it worked for a number of other people. It's not going to work for everybody. So I figured, you know what, why don't you try it and see what happens? And sure enough, they come back and they go, I felt relief from the first treatment, and the second, third, fourth, it basically made it all go away. And now I go regularly. And great, it worked. It's not to say it's going to work for everybody, but just so far, it's been working for just about everybody. It's like I said, I can think of one person who it didn't work for, but it's only because they probably went once. They didn't go at least, for a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 times a week, and then turn it down. They went once and it didn't work, and they leave, and they never go back again. If this is something that you've been thinking of, your body's been hurting, and you haven't tried a good chiropractor yet, go try one. It would help if they handle a lot of people in the sports fitness type area. If all they really deal with are senior citizens who are not active, I probably wouldn't go to that one. Ask them who their clientele typically is. If they do a lot of CrossFitters, they do a lot of Jiu-Jitsu people, a lot of athletes, that's the kind of people that you want to go and seek out. Oh, and one more thing. I used to get crazy migraines. I mean, really bad. So bad when I was during college. So bad where if I was driving, I could be driving on a freeway and that migraine would hit me. I just feel like somebody's got their 2 thumbs and they're shoving my eyeballs. It would be so bad, I would literally pull over on the highway and I would just put my seat back and I'd go to sleep. On the highway. I didn't care. It was so bad. I wouldn't even bother to try to get off the freeway. My last couple migraines, I was vomiting. It was so bad. And I went and started getting chiropractic treatments and it stopped. And I had no idea that there was a link between the two until about 10 years later. I realized probably about maybe 2009, 2010, I hadn't had a migraine in over 10 years. Because I remember specifically where I was when I got it, what year that was, everything. It was that bad. And I just happened to ask my chiropractor, is there a link? And they said, well, yeah, as a matter of fact, about 80 to 85% of people who suffer migraines, if they get an adjustment, it goes away. It doesn't work for everybody, but it's worth a shot. And in fact, my daughter, if any of you have been watching our videos, you know that when I'm kind of parked like this, I'm waiting to pick my daughter up. So when she's popped in the back, she gets massive migraines where she sees colors and everything. So she gets treatments and it does kind of cut the symptoms down for a little bit. It's a whole lot better than putting her on drugs, which is what I don't want to do. So anyway, if you get them, that's just kind of a side benefit. But if you're an active trainer, keep your body tuned up, because when you're not tuned up, you're not at your best, you don't feel good, and then what'll happen? You won't train because it hurts and you'll just want to just do nothing. And that's the worst thing you can do. Better to train with pain than to not train at all. So go find yourself a good chiropractor. It may not be your first one that does it for you. You may need to go through 2, 3, 4, 5 like I did. In fact, I probably went through 10 in my lifetime before I found the 1 or 2 that were really good. Anyway, that's all I got for you. I hope you guys are doing well. Be sure to check out our Patreon channel. I just loaded up several more videos. So I think we're up to well over 60 videos now of Dave teaching some really cool stuff. So I think I just uploaded some gun defenses, some knife attack defenses for the instructor for the brown black belt series. For the black belt Patreons, I've loaded up how to teach arm bars in a pretty cool way from the mount. And anyway, just check it out. It's not that much. It's it'll show you all the stuff that we're doing over time because we're building that database up. If you like the videos that you see here, go ahead and like them. Smash that like button. Be sure to comment below on any of our videos. I try to always go in and check in and respond and try to engage with you guys. Go ahead and like that button, subscribe, and share these videos with your friends if you think they're of value to you. Anyway, take care. Happy training. Bye-bye now. Hey, baby.